everybody, welcome back again to Artifact Archives, and today we're doing things a little bit different. You may notice that there's no table in front of us, no artifacts in front of us, and that's because I'm sitting on it. You're thinking, all right, why are you just talking about these two chairs, these beat up metal chairs? Well, I'll tell you why. We are now going to talk about JFK's visit to Cheyenne. He visited twice, in 1960 and in 1963. So in 1960, he was running for president, as everybody knows, and he had honestly had some connections that not a lot of people know about with the state of Wyoming. He was actually scouting around, campaigning for other Democrats that were running for the House or the Senate in various states, in key states. And at that time, he was also kind of testing the waters to try and see how he would do in a potential run for the presidency, because he was already thinking about it by that time, as all politicians do, really. And Wyoming ended up being kind of special for him, because when it came to the primary in 1960 for the Democratic nomination, it was actually very close. It was him, it was Lyndon Johnson, and a few other prominent senators, mainly, at the time. And in order to get the nomination, you had to get 50% of the delegates or over of the entire convention, of the entire Democratic Party. And when it got to the convention, they got to the first ballot, and it was razor close. Kennedy was starting to gain momentum, and he was just about at the 50% mark. And finally, it reached Wyoming's delegation, and they decided, you know what, let's make history. We got all of our delegates to vote for Kennedy en masse, and that got him just over the 50% mark. So Wyoming got him the Democratic nomination in the end. But back to his visit. In 1960, this would have been in September, he was right in the middle of the general campaign. He and everybody in the country knew it was going to be a close election between him and Nixon. And so he was going everywhere looking for votes. Everywhere. Like the day that he was here in Wyoming, in Cheyenne, he visited about 5 other states within about one day. And so one of the places he came was Cheyenne, Wyoming, because at that point in 1960, every state counted. Because of his connection with Wyoming and kind of an appreciation of the support that we gave him at the convention, he came to Cheyenne special to do an event for the Democratic National headquarters and for the Laramie County Democratic Party. They actually did it right here in this room, right in our museum, because this room, before it was the museum, used to be the Frontier Pavilion building for the city. In 1960, they had Kennedy speak in this room. When they were planning the visit, he was supposed to be at the Plains Hotel, but so many tickets sold for it that they had to upgrade their space, and this room was able to hold a capacity of 1,000 people at that time. Back in 1960, it was much more open, so we have this open space here, yes, but through our East Gallery, that didn't exist in 1960, so those walls were completely open. So the Cheyenne room on one side and our new kitchen on the other side was all open, and within that room, they were able to fit 1,300 to 1,500 people that day. And then he came in and there was just cheers of just, we want Kennedy, and all that sort of stuff. Went wild. And he did a speech for about 15 minutes. And then he left. Then he went to the airport, did a quick speech there. And then he was so behind schedule, as he was like, because after his speech, he was shaking hands with people, you know, greeting them, telling them they appreciated them coming out. He was so late on his schedule as aides were literally pushing him onto the plane in Cheyenne. But he was here in 1960 for about a total of 65 minutes, from landing at the airport to taking off from the airport. So it was fast. I've got these photos here, so thank you, Historic Chair, for holding these photos for me. But what we have here, and these photos were from the Wyoming State Archives. Again, great people to work with, and they were very nice to us in this project. But they found these photos for us. This is our stage, which is right over here. This is how it looked in 1960, and that has JFK on it, speaking to the crowd, and you can see a big Kennedy Johnson banner, all the posters, and they were even raffling off an RCA box TV set. And then we get to the photo that's kind of the smoking gun of the artifacts I'm sitting on. So this is the back view of the stage. So this is looking out to the room, across the room, and you can see those tables that I mentioned, and you can see how wide open it is. There's no This would be kind of where the kitchen and the CFD store would be today, and it's not there. It's just an empty space in 1960. If you look really closely, you can see the chairs kind of in the back of the stage where everybody's sitting, and they have CCC printed on the back. And when I was looking at this photo and I could see the chairs, I was like, I've seen those before. Where have I seen them? And ta-da! We had some still. These were just in our closets, and they've been here, well, obviously since 1960, and we were actually still using these as utility chairs. And because I remember when I was given my tours around the museum around the time I was hired, I remember seeing these chairs just laying in a corner of a closet. And then I was thinking, nah, these are dirt old. And sure enough, yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing that we still have these chairs, and this chair I'm sitting on is the same story. So obviously we don't know if these chairs were used on the stage when Kennedy visited, or if they were among the masses of chairs that were just laid out on those long diagonal tables on the floor. But either way, we can confirm through photo evidence that we didn't have before that these chairs were still in the building in 1960. So we actually inherited some stuff from the old Frontier Pavilion when we took it over as the Old West Museum, and they've survived this long. Like I said, we still have 2 of them out of the hundreds we probably used to have. So pretty cool, and just a little fun nugget that we found here, and it just kind of teaches you that you never know what's in your closets. So, I mean, there you go. And we'll see you at the next video.